So why do you think it's important to advocate for our dogs, especially in a public place? Right. They can't create their own space. They're tied on a leash. They're on a short leash inside a building in a place that they don't understand. We need to make sure that we're advocating. Why else would we advocate? Gaining trust. That's a big one. Why else would we advocate?
Clearing the space with people.
Yeah. What are we preventing? Accidents. That's a good one. What else are we preventing? What long-term effects can happen when we don't advocate for our dogs? Anxiety. What else? Aggression, fear, reactivity. Obsessive compulsive disorder can be a result from not advocating, right? Your dog starts to expel the stress in very bizarre ways just to try to deal with it, okay? So advocacy is going to be paramount to everything else. It's the most critical when we're going in there. Can anyone tell me how to advocate for your dog? What that actually means? Get between the stressor and the dog. I love that. What else does advocacy mean? Sticking up for your dog, right? Okay. So we're going to use advocacy to build trust with our dogs. When we advocate, we need to remember that we're not advocating for a person. We're not sticking up for another person. We're sticking up for a dog. And dogs are not verbal. So you can't stick up for them with your words, which is typically how we handle things. So if somebody comes over to you and says, oh my gosh, your dog is adorable, can I please pet him? And we say, oh, please don't, he's a little bit nervous. And that person goes away, you didn't earn any brownie points for that. You didn't build any trust for that. Because the dog had no clue that they went away because of you. So when we advocate, we must advocate with our bodies. You can advocate with your words to the person. That's totally fine. You still have to communicate with the human you're dealing with. But you must use your body to advocate with the dog, okay? Now, this is going to go for when we're in motion. It's also going to go when we're stationary. When you're in motion, you're going to try to ideally put yourself between the dog and the stressor. That means you're typically walking on the path with your dog all the way to the edge of the path and you in the center of the path, right? You're typically, when a stressor presents itself, if you need to make a turn, you are typically turning into your dog to protect your dog rather than turning away from your dog and exposing your dog. These are important aspects that will help keep your dog calm in public, okay? If you're throwing advocacy out the window and just always leaving your dog in the open, that's going to create reactivity because your dog says, I'm going to handle it the way I know how to handle it, and I'm going to handle it like a dog. We don't want them to do that, okay? So using your body matters. When you're moving, it's a lot of maneuvers, left and right, making turns, things like that. When you're stationary, body language comes into play a little bit differently. So for instance, if I have my dog lying down and someone says, can I please pet your dog? They start to come up into my space. I'm going to step in front of my dog, and I'm going to put my hand out and say, no, thank you, my dog's training right now, or my dog's nervous right now, or my dog doesn't like men, or my dog doesn't like kids, or heck, my dog's going to bite you, please don't come here, right? There's a lot of reasons for using this body language. One, we want our bodies facing the dog. This is how we train, right here. Body language, facial expressions, our hands, it's all here. We've never once trained our dogs like this. So we better not be advocating like this, okay? So if the dog's there, we step in front. And this is very standoffish, right? People don't carry on super long conversations when you're like, well, how can I help you, right? And you got your arm out and you're like, please don't pet my dog. There's not a lot of people that are going to reach past you and you're like, no, okay? There's not many people that are going to do that to you. So be very proactive with that so people know that they shouldn't be getting into your dog's space. But we need to make sure that we're here and that this is standoffish towards the person because we don't have to do anything with the person, but we might have to do something with the dog. Does that make sense? Okay, let's talk about what actually causes stress on our dogs. You all know your dogs better than I do. I want you to catalog in your mind right now what you think would be a stressor for your dog. There's a handful, okay? So the other dogs can be a stressor. People can be a stressor. Children can be a stressor. And environmental can be a stressor. Things like carts or slippery floors or loud noises or things that move, whatever it is, okay? Start cataloging in your mind what your dog is triggered by, and those are the things that you need to advocate for inside the store. You need to advocate for every single one of those things. So for instance, let's say your dog is terrible with people, and every person that has come up to talk to you, you've advocated for, and they've gone away, and your dog goes, thank God, you're finally getting this. I appreciate you so much. But let's say that the person isn't coming to talk to you. They're just not paying attention, and they're getting too close to you. You should still be advocating, right? Even if they're not trying to engage with you or your dog, you should still be moving into the advocacy position so your dog says, oh, you're going to handle it if anything happens. I appreciate that. If your dog doesn't like people and there's someone all the way across the store going, oh, look how cute you are just so cute, you're still advocating, because that eye contact puts just as much pressure on your dog as if those people were right there doing it, okay? So you're being very hyper aware of the environment. If my trainers all have our board and train dogs out in a line inside Cabela's, and somebody's coming by and they've got two kids that are like, woo, all over the place, all over the store with pop guns, you're gonna see all four of us just casually get into our advocacy positions. They're not talking to us, they're not bothering us, but we're here and we're ready, right? If a dog comes in, even if my dog's not necessarily reactive to other dogs, you'll already start seeing us move into the motion and be prepared for anything that might happen, okay? This is also going to be the tactic for when a dog does come into your space, whether it's on leash or off, you need to advocate with body language. That means you put your dog behind you and you take care of the other dog. That can be like this, that can be through shouting, that can be through kicking the dog and not allowing it into your space, but you must put your dog behind you and handle the situation, okay? I gave you the example about Hope, where Hope put the dog in the down and was able to go handle the other dog that was coming on, okay? So we're always using body language to make that stressor go away, okay? So with this slow motion exercise, we're definitely going to advocate for our dogs. You're going to advocate with body language, but we're going to advocate a lot with turns. So something I want you to be really mindful of, it's not terrible when we're in just a single file line because you have your own class in front of you and your own class behind you. But when you come by yourself to a field trip like this, I want you to be really mindful of how to advocate for your dog by using these turns. So for instance, if I'm walking, my dog walks on the left, we're on the left side of the path, and a guy's coming down with a big gun that he just purchased and he's got two employees coming down, I'm going to casually get out of the way and make a left-hand turn so I'm advocating for my dog. I'm already in the close, the people are going by, and I can get back out onto the path, okay? I'm using these turns to help show my dog that I'll take care of that. When we're doing this, our calmness, our energy really matters. So I'm going to force you to get better at your energy. So the tricky part of this exercise is I'm not going to allow you to change your pace at all. I don't want you going faster or slower or stopping unless it's an absolute emergency. And let me tell you, 99.999, it is not an absolute emergency. I want you to learn how to keep your cool and work your dog through it, okay? So for instance, these people are coming down, I got some people coming to the side, another dog's over here. Rather than seizing up and taking off, I'm gonna very casually create some space for my dog, move off to the side, as if I was choosing to do that all along. As if none of that even mattered, because every time that you overcompensate for the environment, you convince your dog that the environment is a big deal. So every time you're like, oh, another dog, right? Oh, dog over there. And you're walking through the store like this, the dog goes, okay, dogs are a big deal, I got it. You let me know that. We don't want them to think that. So you must keep your pace throughout the entire exercise.